I'm Michelle Fayman, and I'm the Director of the Lake County Board of Elections and Registration. And in this series, we're going to be talking about miscellaneous items in your kit. So one of those is going to be a list of your workers. Inside this envelope will contain all your workers for Election Day. Please call them in advance and ask them to meet you on Monday for setup of your voting machines, and also let them know what time you would like them to appear on Tuesday. Please let them know to bring a lunch or something to sustain them throughout the day. You can order food, but keep in mind the delivery individual cannot enter the polling place. In regards to payment, you'll receive a separate sheet of paper that will tell you the date of when the checks will be sent out. On this sheet, we must have each of your workers complete name, address, city, state, and zip. They will mark if they have attended a training session, or in this case, watched a virtual one. They must also sign and provide us their social security number. As inspector, you will sign in a few spots. You'll sign as a worker. You will also attest to that these individuals worked throughout the day. It is important also to list on the front side the polling place, so that way we can pay them. On the back side of the claim, there is one additional spot that the inspector must fill out, listing their name and address. Other items that could come up on Election Day is you may be in what we call a mega precinct or a split precinct. And what that means, in a mega, it means that under one roof, voters will still sign in under their own precinct, but then can go to any voting machine and cast a ballot. Their individual precinct will still be listed on there. And you will know that you are in one when you activate your voting machine and you see a number of precincts. In this case, the voter would still sign in at the clerk's table. They would be given a receipt, and on the receipt it spells out what precinct they are in. What I like to do is have a highlighter with me. When the voter gives this to me at the voting booth, I would highlight the precinct when I select it, and that makes sure I'm selecting the correct precinct. This is also used in split precincts, whereas in one precinct they may have a split district, meaning there are maybe two school board districts in there. And in that case they would have two separate ballots, so it is imperative that they get their correct ballot. Please use the highlighter. The next thing we're going to discuss is identification. And this is a book that the state elections put out, and in section 3 it talks about photo identifications if you'd like to read up on it more. But in this case, there are 4 things that we are looking for on a photo identification. One, that it has the voter's picture on it, and it should look like me. Keep in mind I may change my hair color from season to season. The name must conform with what is on the iPad. I said conform and not necessarily match. I could be listed as Michelle Fayman, but I might be listed as Shelley Fayman. I could be Michelle Renee Fayman. Any version of that must be conforming. It also has to be issued by the state of Indiana or the U.S. government, so in this case a passport would also be sufficient. And it must have an expiration date on it. The expiration is going to be no later than the last general election, which in this case will go back to 2018 general election. May not be sufficient for me to be driving on the street, but it's good enough for voting purposes. Other types of IDs that people may bring in that are not good. My work ID badge would not be sufficient. It has my picture and it has my name, but it is not issued by the state of Indiana, and it does not have an expiration date on it. So again, those 4 points are what we're looking for in regards to photo identification, and are listed in the manual. Failsafe is going to be the last thing I'm going to talk about. And failsafe is that we want people who should be able to vote to cast a vote, even if a mistake has been made. So a failsafe, if a voter shows up and says, my name should be in the book, it's not here, you could have them do a provisional ballot, and that will allow them to cast a vote on a paper ballot, and then the election board will search it out after the fact. It could also mean it's a certificate of error. We may have father and son with the same exact name, and we may have comboed them up. So if you call the office, we may find it, and then in that case we would issue a certificate of error, and then you would allow that voter to vote. In that instance, also keep in mind to watch your audit numbers, because they would not have been listed in the book. So I think they talk about that more in when she's talking about the audit section. So just keep that in mind. But we want to allow voters who should have the right to cast a vote. So a lot of times you're going to call us. If you can't get hold of us, use the provisional ballot and allow them to vote. Also, if someone didn't bring their photo ID, doesn't mean they can't vote. It just means they're going to vote on a different method, being the provisional ballot. And then they can bring this out to us at a later date. And the very last thing is, we like to provide stickers for individuals showing that they have voted And so that way it encourages more people to come out and vote. Please never attach this to a voter. We do not want any inappropriate touching. Simply give them the sticker, ask them to wear it proudly on election day, and encourage their friends to come out and vote. Thank you for attending our session.